should do. That's all any of us can do.
I forgot to take my hair down.
I want to see her. Can I see her?
Okay. Hey. Blessings. Pray all is well. We are not going to be on long tonight. We've had a very long day. I know you guys hear me saying this every week lately, that we're not going to be on here long, and then we stay long. But we have literally been out of our home all day up until about a half an hour ago. And so we're not going to stay on too long tonight. This is something that is a very sensitive thing in my life, a very sensitive topic. And I feel that it is the same for others, but they just don't have the courage to uh, admit it, or not ready to deal with what people might feel about them having what we call mental illness. Um, the term is used in a few ways: mental illness, mental disorders, mental health issues, um, all of these things in a way to not have to, uh, I guess for the most part, what most people thought when you said mental anything, they just automatically assumed that the person was crazy. And so because that is uh, the term that is connected to those who have these kind of issues, um, it's been very taboo in the church. It's not something that anybody really wants to deal with. But the fact of the matter is, if we don't, after a while, the church is really going to be in an uproar. We think that we are in a bad place now because of the pandemic, and then people coming on, and now everybody trying to see who can expose who first. Yeah, the church is in a bad way, but if we don't um, allow ourselves to deal with the fact that those who sit right next to us, those who are preaching to us, those prophets who are giving us a word from the Lord, who are living with mental illnesses that they don't want people to be aware of. And I'm of the opinion, which is why we have Love in the BIC, that if I desire that you love me, my fullest desire would be that you would love all of me, and all of me might entail mental illness, mental disorder, mental health concerns. However you want to put it, the fact of the matter is you're not crazy. And when you tell people to, or when you suggest to people that maybe they should go and, see a therapist or see a psychiatrist, um, nobody, blessings, um, nobody wants to um, deal with that category or that caption. Immediately, they want to back up. Oh, so now you're calling me crazy, um, or I don't want to talk about it because people gonna think I'm crazy. These are sentences that are attached with those who are living on a daily basis with a mental illness, mental disorder, mental health concern. Uh, those who say they are depressed, that's a mental illness. Sorry, but it is. It's a mental illness. There are things that we are dealing with on a regular basis from traumas that have taken place in our lives. Some people have what's called PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, and it is still considered a mental illness or a mental disorder. And there are many people in church with that particular diagnosis. Many people who are living with that diagnosis, um, not wanting to necessarily talk about it, not wanting anybody to know that this is connected to me. Um, but you want us to understand your trauma. And in order to understand your trauma, we have to acknowledge the fact that that trauma caused something else to happen in your life. Mentally, we go through a lot of things while trying to cover things that we've experienced or avoid things that have happened to us that have caused us, to be who we are, even in relationships today, rather than let our significant, hey, Dom, rather than let our significant other know that, hey, this is something that I'm dealing with. We rather let them think that, we have an attitude, or that we're just being arrogant, or we just, being stubborn. But there are many, many, many people in the church today who are living with mental illness. Um, yes, is out there just as much in the world as well. But we as uh, leaders who cover the Bible tells us that we're supposed to know them that labor among us. And so, as a leader, you would want to know as much as possible about those who serve under you. You would want to know how to best deal with them, or how to best help them, or how to best free them. And in order to do that, we must, one, have discernment, and two, be ready to get down and dirty with them until some type of change comes or some type of freedom comes. You ready to go? I know. Um, and so my bestie and I, a lot of times, we have conversations and we're talking, and we're like, oh, well, let's talk about that tonight. So I didn't get a chance to really tell her exactly where we were going to be tonight because we were really literally out in the streets doing stuff. And I stopped momentarily during the course of the day and just put up mental illness in me. Didn't know where I was going, didn't know for sure how it was going to come across, you know, um, whether people would come on and be willing to be transparent, because with Love in the Mirror I See, the whole point is to heal. The whole point is to be free, not just to be free from, you know, those things that bind us, because we don't want to deal with, very intimate things, but just being free to love you for who you are, being free to acknowledge that you are not perfect, which all of us have to tell the truth and know that we're not. If we were, we wouldn't still be here on this earth looking at one another. And so all of us are dealing with different issues, some at a better or a greater degree than others. Um, Having been traumatized myself, and having been traumatized herself, and dealing with different ones in our 14 years of friendship, counseling different ones who have been through some things. um, you find out that people are living with, like I said, PTSD. They are schizophrenic. Those people who really just think everybody is just out to get them. Um, there are people who have eating disorders. It's still a mental health condition. Look it up. It really is part of a mental disorder. Some who have been abused, um, emotionally, verbally, spiritually. Hey, Jihad, um, have mood disorders, anxiety disorders. All of these things are considered mental illness. Look it up, and it will associate it with this thing. And I believe, I feel, I just um, don't think that anyone should have to be ashamed of who they are, and that includes anything that they might be dealing with or living with. As my bestie and I became friends, and as we went through the tests and trials of friendships, and as we moved and graduated into this point of bestie, there are many things that we had to share with one another about ourselves in order to be our best selves for each other. This is why we are called besties, not best friends, but besties, because we've endured a lot, we've heard a lot, we've seen a lot, we've felt a lot. And you have to be able to uh, see somebody at their worst state and still love them back, to be able to say, hey, I got you, I'm there for you, I'm not going to drop you. And that's what both of us had to figure out, because we were so used to being dropped. We were so used to uh, being pushed aside. Blessings, Prophetess Shauna. Um, we were so used to it, you know, that when we found each other, I mean, the way we clicked was almost like Mary and Elizabeth. I'm just telling you, like, something happened in us when we met, and it was like people thought we had known each other forever, and we hadn't even been friends for a month, I don't even believe. But, you know, there were some things that we shared over these past 14 years with each other that will go to our graves, because that's what loyalty and allegiance will do for you. Just because we get upset and have arguments here and there, we don't use that time to expose one another. We still hold on to what has been shared with us. And so This is why many people who have tried cannot come between, because we made that decision. And so, um, being able to minister to those who are dealing with mental disorders again, 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 again. If you have anxiety, if you suffer from PTSD, if you have an eating disorder, yes, um, depression, um, all of those are classified under mental disorders, mental illnesses. And I had to go back and look to make sure that what I was saying was true. And I got from the World Health Organization, world renowned World Health Organization, and they list these various mental disorders, some of which I just named. And there are many of us, like I said, thank you, Jihad, for your um, transparency. Let me post this. Um, Many of us have been sitting in church for years, battling with whether we should tell somebody what's really going on with us, whether we should be honest with our significant other as we are getting closer in our relationships. Do I tell this person that I'm suffering with this particular situation, or do I just let it be what it be and let it do what it do? However, chips fall at the time that it takes place is whatever. I'm just not willing to tell this person that this is what I'm dealing with. I mean, back in the day, it's not fair, but it is fact. This is why some people don't last. Some relationships don't last because the people who are getting into these relationships are really too ashamed of what they have been living with and dealing with. And if they were never able to come to that, uh, uh, to embrace it within themselves, they're not going to be able to help anybody else embrace it in their lives because they're still running from it. They still don't want, nah, that this will pass, it'll get over, they'll leave. I just need some time. They'll come back. We don't have to do this. And it is very unfair to the other person, whether it be your significant other in relationships or whether it be friendship, whatever. Even when we giving these titles out, spiritual parents and spiritual sons and daughters, you need to know what kind of spirits is in those spiritual sons, daughters, and mothers, and that there are different things that have happened in their lives that have caused them to hold a certain disposition. And it is easier for them to allow people to think whatever they want to think than to be honest enough and say, hey, it's really not like that. This is something that I've been dealing with for years. And, I just didn't know how to, because eventually it took a lot of years for me to, I prayed to God. I had to stop being um, general and specify what kind of friendship I needed. And God provided it in my bestie. And do we have arguments and disagreements? We sure do. But at the end of the night, we right back there. We don't go to sleep on it. And if we do, we wake up apologizing for going to sleep on it. And so we recognize, that in order to be our best selves to one another, we have to first be honest with ourselves. And so there's nothing wrong with letting somebody know that you living with mental disorders or mental illnesses or mental health issues. However you want to put it, when you go to the World Health Organization, they're telling you that you got a mental disorder.
So I think that it takes a special leader to deal with someone that's suffering from mental disorders, because the church world will run you away from the church if they don't understand that you have a mental disorder. So it takes a special leader um, to identify with someone that has mental illnesses, because other than that, you're going to run them away because you don't know how to deal with it. And between the two churches, or the churches that we cover, we find out that people really have real diagnosis. I did not know that anxiety was mental. Um, that's crazy.
Yes, it is. It's very much a mental disorder. Anxiety stems from stresses, um, different types of depression, um, And that's why I said so many of us are sitting right next to somebody who's been living with these things, and they are afraid because the way people are exposing each other in the church these days, you don't know what you can share. You might feel like you're doing the right thing by being transparent so that somebody understands, hey, I really been there and done that. And then that situation ends up turning against you, because now when they get with the next right person, they're gonna say, guess what I found out? Or did you know that so and so, and they lead and they pastoring, they got a title, and they admitting that they, so many people are made to feel bad about what they're living with. And all of us have something that we are ashamed of. And for the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about forgiving ourselves. We forgive other people so easily, but we find it hard to forgive ourselves. And we have to get to that place where we can forgive ourselves, because it's a part of the freedom that comes along with being transparent. And so, again, as my bestie and I, 14 years, here we are today, have been through some ups, some downs, some various situations that made us have to talk about whether there was something else going on, because it was just impossible that we would just choose to act like we were acting in different times. We had to realize that a lot of it came from PTSD. And PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, um, it happens in different ways. There are children who experience violence and hostility in a home, and then they go out and they might be at a friend's house, or they might go over another family member's house, and then they start arguing, whatever, and then that child has a response to that situation, because it has, or those who have been violated sexually, or touched the wrong way. You get into the next relationship and you just say, "Ooh, that was a trigger." It was, but you have PTSD. That's why it was a trigger, because it's post traumatic. It's something that is happening after the fact of the real thing that took place, and it is something that is reminding you of what was, and you don't want to be a part of that anymore. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knock you down before you knock me down, because I'm not gonna stay in this. I'm not doing this again. And a lot of times I personally tell people everything that is similar is not the same, but we do need to spend a little bit more time investigating who we are attaching ourselves to, because time is very short and we don't have much longer to live, and you want to live your best life. And in order to do that, you want to make sure that what you're connecting yourself to, whether it be spiritually or naturally, it is okay. You know, um, and I believe that when you say that this is your somebody, this is your soulmate, this is that person you don't see yourself without, this is that person you want to live the rest of your life, and he just the best cornbread and she just the best jello, and we just going to gel and we're going to make it happen. And then a situation arises, and that person right now that you're seeing is not the person you married. It's not the person you were dating. And now here you are married, and you were like, what did I forget to ask? Or how did I miss this? And we going through all of these, but I still believe and I hold fast that if you tell somebody who you are when you're first meeting them, then you allow them to make a very informed decision as to whether they want to continue on, whether they feel like, you know what, I thought maybe, we could make this work as a couple, but maybe we just need to be friends, because I don't know if I can handle that. And I don't want to put you through that. I don't want to take you through the process. I don't want to take you through the format of getting to this place only to get there and say, no, I'm not putting up with that. Now I've devastated you again, and you present them into a greater place of PTSD or anxiety or psychotic expressions. And so having these different things um, is no reason for you to run from yourself or people. There's no need for you to run from yourself or people. People who will love you for who you are will take all of that into account. Uh, you know, uh, when I met Apostle, to hear her say to somebody else, when Apostle Armor loves somebody, she loved hard, and I do. I give everything. That's why we get hurt so easily, is because we love hard and we just always want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Then we want to give them 15 and 20 opportunities. And while we got our kids on the sideline saying, what's wrong with you? Why do you keep letting this happen to you? We're not going to keep on sitting by and watching this happen. But the fact of the matter is, as long as I allow it, you have no choice.
Somebody texted said they can't comment on the live.
They must be on the wrong page.
But anxiety
They-
in the workplace
Who is it?
is still keeping you cool. Try to see because they may not see them.
They're not on Loving Me I See because everybody else, they might be on this side because it's 5 people over here.
Go up and see.
Go up and see what. These people are on. So someone just brought to our attention that they're not able to comment, but that probably means you're on the wrong page. If you're on Apostle Armor's page, our personal page, you can see and hear everything that we're saying. That we're.
Is this Shanae? Cause my
You must be on my personal page. On my personal page, you can hear everything that's going on, and we can tell you. There she go. That's who you're talking about, Shanae.
is that who? Ask her. Did she just text me?
She said, "I apologize. I'm back. Blessings." So that had to be her. Welcome back. But you know, we when you say that you are going to give somebody the best part of you, then that means that you are willing to be honest about who you are and where you've been. I believe, and I'll keep on saying, she said she ain't text you, so it's not her.
This is Nita. That's not. It's Nita.
Thanks for clearing that up. We was trying to figure it out, but she must not be on the right page. If she's on my personal page, she can't. Nobody will see her comments. We'll have to read them. But if she's on Loving Me I See, everybody could see it. Let me address Jahad before some more comments start coming up. He said he suffers from depression and anxiety, which causes him to have feelings that he can't control. Real talk. And Jahad, a lot of people might talk about you. Anything we've had to say about you, you know, we've told you to your face. We don't believe in, you know, going behind somebody's back when you can say it to their face. So conversations concerning you, we've already had with you face to face. And we would never run you down to anybody. That's just not who we are. But we have told you, we acknowledge that, but we were willing to love you. But you couldn't handle the love because you had to get past the fact that, hey, this is something that I haven't been able to shake. When it flares up, he loses control. You got to wait till he come back. But it takes somebody that's willing to love. It takes somebody that's willing to walk you through. What sense does it make for me to say that I'm there for you, and then when that time comes, I go ghost? I think it's unfair to feel that when it comes to leaders, a lot of people fail to acknowledge that leaders are human and they hurt and bleed just like the next person. Yes, God has given them a special love and a special heart for his people. Hey, Nat. Miss Nat on here.
Hey. She was going through it today, so it's a good forum for her.
You know, to expect more from one person than you do the other. We're all human before we become anything else. Yes, my name is Apostle Juanita Armour, but clearly my name is Juanita Armour, and I got some issues that I have had to work through. I thank God, you know, that depression is no longer my friend, and that I don't have the suicidal thoughts that I had because of trying to please and be there for everybody else. And then at the time when I needed people the most, they turned their backs toward me. Expecting my bestie to do the same thing, because we just love hard. And when I met her, there was so many things that I was doing and making sure that she was loved. And then I was like, well, you know, I wonder what's going to happen when I need it. But she has proven, we have proven to one another and to others that we are here to stay. as besties, with our mental disorders and all. I always tease her. I'll be like, we're gonna be two crazy little biddies walking down the street together. But it's to say that there are people who are really struggling with these mental disorders, with anxiety, with depression, with eating disorders, with dementia, even autism they name, and all the mood disorders like bipolar, schizophrenia. Those are real diagnoses, and we're so used to people having these issues outside of the church that we fail to realize that those same people are coming inside the church. They are joining the church. They singing in a choir next to you. They singing in praise and worship next to you. They sitting next to you in prayer meeting. They sitting next to you in the business meeting, and you are absolutely clueless because you're not taking the time that we used to take to get to know what's near you, what's around you. Miss Nat said, I am in need of prayer and saw y'all live, and I'm telling you my sin today, and patience was thin. I needed prayer all day, and we got you. And guess what? Right now, God, we thank you for Miss Nat. We thank you for her ability to recognize that she needs you on today, God. We thank you for Miss Nat because her heart is gold, oh God. And even though she is constantly being misunderstood, we thank you for always knowing who she is and where she is. God, right now where she stands, she's asking for you. She's asking for your assistance. She's asking for your help. She's asking for your guidance. And now we ask, dear kind Father, in the name of your Son, Jesus the Christ, that you would be what she needs right now. In the name of Jesus, God, we thank her for even looking to us, seeing something in us that she will want us to pray for her, God, that we don't take that lightly. God, we love you for it. And we're waiting for that good report to let her know that all things shall be well. In Jesus' name, amen. You are going to be just fine, Miss Nat. We remain here. We're not on the same block anymore, but we're in the same office space. Look at how he did it. Look at how he did it. Brought us right back around to one another. But mental disorders, mental illnesses, mental health issues, however you want to name it, you're not crazy. You have a diagnosis. You have a diagnosis most times, if treated properly and on time, you can get it regulated, and people will never really know that there's something wrong with you unless you tell them. The problem is, by you never telling anyone, you are not giving them enough ground or enough room to really be what you need them to be at the moment because they haven't told you the truth. She's on here, yes. You're not giving us an opportunity to help. When people come to us with situations, the first thing I say is, after listening, I say, so what's missing? And they be like, what? Nah, something's missing because that sounds like it was a response to something. So what part are you not telling us? And then I tell people all the time, there's no problem that exists one way. There is no problem that exists one way. If two people are having an issue and only one of you think you're the problem, that's already the problem. Because either you're the person who's causing the problem, or you're the person who knows it's a problem and choosing not to do anything about it and allowing it to continue on. Then you are a major part of the problem. So therefore, there are no problems that are one way. Ms. Nita asked, how do you handle having anxiety at work but trying to cover it up? Well, maybe for lack of better wording, because I wouldn't be trying to cover it up. I would try to figure out how I can deal with it so that it doesn't manifest, because if it manifests, I might hurt somebody. That's facts. People come to work with bad attitudes and stuff, and they don't consider the fact that you might have had a bad attitude when you came in too. So you might want to, reevaluate the situation before you open your mouth and speak, because anything can happen. Because you didn't ask me how my day was, you just gave me your attitude. As one who has lived with anxiety, Pastor Anita, while I was at work, I wouldn't say that I just blurted out, hey, I got anxiety, but I let them know today is not the day. Or I would say, you know what, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff and I can't really afford to be right there.
Can I jump in right
Yeah, go.
I think a lot of people need to understand because we get our titles mixed up. Just because we're a pastor or we're an apostle or we're a bishop, we still have off days because we're human first. So it's okay to say, today is not a good day. Give me some time to get my thoughts together. Give me some time to get myself together. Stay out of my space because I'm not having a good day. And I don't want to take out on you what I'm feeling or what I'm going through. So allow me to have my space because that's when anxiety kick in. That's when depression kick in. All of this stuff that we're dealing with on a daily basis is because we're not telling the people around us, hey, listen, I might be Pastor so-and-so, but today is just not a good day for me. Okay, so I'm going to need you to tread lightly because I don't want to come off the wrong way and then I have to come back and apologize to you later. So that's a way that I had to learn that I am not apostle and prophet always. I had to learn that I am human first, and it's okay to say I'm tired. Apostle have taught us it's okay to say I don't feel like it today. It's okay to say I'm having a moment. Let me deal with my moment.
It's okay to say you're not okay.
Out on everybody else. You don't have to flip out on everybody else because you're not okay. And Jesus can fix it, and prayer is good. But you have to first admit that I'm not having a good day, and I need you to chill today because I don't want to take out on you why I'm feeling the way
you don't want me to react to what you're doing. What you want is my response. So I'm gonna need you to bring it down a little bit.
Or do like Miss Nat did. She did good. I need y'all to pray for me today because I'm not having a good day. It's not often that she hit us up and say, can you pray for me? Because today is not the day. And you are entitled to that day. But tomorrow when you wake up, it should be better than today.
That's
so you prioritize what's wrong, what happened, why was I here today? Help me not to be here tomorrow. If it was my children, if it was my husband, if it was myself, maybe I'm not happy with something that's going on around me. I was just saying this to Ayana before I came back upstairs. You have to figure out a way to deal with what was said. You can't die because of what was said to you. So now what are we going to do to get up from here and keep moving forward? So that's how we have to talk to ourselves on a day-to-day basis.
We have to.
And sometimes it's tough, but it's the truth.
We have to. You have to be real with you before you can be real with anybody else. If you're not real about you to yourself, how do you expect somebody else to be the same? Going back to Pastor Anita, what I also learned to do after I stopped reacting and learned that responses are better. Hey, Ro and that baby. What I started doing was removing myself from the situation. How do you do that? And you're at work, excuse yourself. Go in the bathroom, go walk down the hallway or something that's going to allow you to center back into yourself. I holler a lot, so you don't want to be near me. But removing yourself from the situation, sometimes we don't get that moment right away. So sometimes we have to be punked. At least it feels that way. And just not say anything, because sometimes people already know what to do to get at you. And so their joy of the day is just being able to say, see, I told you, to somebody else, or knowing that they caused you. Oh, but you're supposed to be a preacher. They good for that. Oh, you're supposed to be a Christian. I'm a Christian. Yes, I am.
Still have issues.
And guess what? When my mother birthed me, my name was Nita. And that's who you messing with right now. We're not talking to the Christian right now. So if you really wanted me to be Christian-like, then you would have treated me as such. And so sometimes you just got to learn how to get people back up off you. And so having anxiety is, I can't say that it's easy to just jump in and out, because it's not. Because by the time you realize that your anxiety is sitting in, like, it's too late.
Is anxiety and panicking the same thing?
Anxiety and panicking run hand in hand, but they are not the same. They're very close in definition, but they are not the same. I was going to give you an example, and it went out my head just that quick, but I'm going to remember. I'm going to come back. What is... Yes, Miss Nat, you can't keep saying... I had to learn that. You know why? Because every
What she
time
say? I can't-
she's saying I have a saying that says it's okay not to be okay.
Oh yeah.
And I had to learn that I didn't have to always be all right. But because of my upbringing, you're never supposed to let nobody know when you're down. So I found myself saying every time somebody say, "How are you today?" "All is well," or "I'm okay, I'm good," and that wasn't the truth. Now I find myself saying, "All will be well," because I'm allowing myself and others as they're talking to me to know that something might be off, but I'm already letting you know it's going to be well. It's not going to overtake me, and it's something that I had to learn within myself. A lot of the things that uh, we talk about, we found out how to do it because it happened to us for real. We try not to talk about where we've never been because I don't like people trying to come for me if you ain't been there. And so it takes some time. Uh, a straightforward answer would be um, to allow the people to know what they're doing. Pastor Anita, anxiety is wanting to prove or feeling overwhelmed, panic. I watch out with tears. Now, once I start crying, you probably want to move out of my way. So I try not to get there. That's been in my entire life. Once you bring me to tears, it's over. You just need to wait until I come back around. Um, but when people on the job, and I'm telling the truth because I did it, when people on the job are intentionally doing things or you feel that they might be, I would say something.
It's
I,
not for
I really
me then.
did. I would say something. And if I couldn't say it to them, yeah, I did. I called them in the office with the boss because I wanted them to know, hey, maybe the boss might say, well, you're off today or you're not your best self today. You got to let them know it's because of this. This is what I'm dealing with out there that you don't see. Um,
What type of work?
what type of work do you do? Apostle is asking Pastor Anita. But I've been pretty outspoken for a long time. There were many years that I wasn't, and I tolerated a lot, and I endured a lot of different types of abuse. But once I finally got enough nerve to love myself, things started to change in that vein. I wasn't taking it like I used to, and people weren't used to me saying no instead of yes, or weren't used to me saying exactly how I felt about what they did or said. It took some getting used to. And that was because I was that one that just didn't. I just wanted to fit in. So whatever I had to take, whatever I had to endure, wherever I had to go, I just did it because I wanted to be a part. But it's a wonderful thing when you find yourself, school classroom setting. Um, I can't speak for the children, having been working for 6 years with children with autism and special needs. Um, with some
Hi,
of the with
Marianne.
some of these disorders that we deal with as adults, and trying to handle children with special needs, um, it takes God. It just takes God. One thing that I realize is that autistic children that I worked with, um,
Master
Master
Prophet.
Prophet, House Florida, working with autistic children and children with special needs, you realize that they have a
We thought
reason
you
for what they're
forgot about
doing,
us. We thought you forgot
right?
about us.
Um, they got a reason for why they're doing what they're doing. So you kind of like can, because they do what they do, and in the next 5 minutes they loving you again. They don't even dwell on what happened already. They just go on to the next thing. And I think that many of us who are walking around and carrying, he said, we're not coming back. um, Many of us who have been carrying this shame of living with mental illnesses and mental disorders or mental health conditions or health issues. Um, I just want to give you a freedom because all of us, he said, they'll never forget us. All of us, hey, Lady T, all of us have something that we're dealing with. Everybody did not come from a household that was just made from heaven. They just didn't, and being able to, you get me to say something, being able to speak about it without shame, being able to speak about it without hesitancy, being able to speak about it in a freeness because I got the necessary help. Like I said, I was of the opinion that if I had to go speak to a therapist or a psychiatrist, then that automatically meant I'm crazy. So what I'm not going to do is go. But what I found in going to both the psychiatrist and the therapist, that it was the best thing I could have ever done. It was such a freeing from all of the trauma that I endured at the hands of those who I thought loved me. Being able to cry and scream and be angry, and somebody tell me it's all right. You don't have to stop. Let it out, because you've always had to be that strong person for everybody. And so now to have that opportunity where you could just, it was really just a freeing. And I just been referring everybody, because I want everybody to feel this freeness and know that you don't have to be crazy to go get help. The point is to go get help so you don't go crazy. And so sitting in the church and the person sitting next to you might have PTSD. The person to the right of you might be living with bipolar disorder. The person sitting just in front of you could be living with an eating disorder. All of these are mental disorders, mental health issues, all of them. The World Health Organization says they are all mental disorders. The World Health Organization. All right. So I don't want people to live in fear or live in shame or embrace it. For the past couple of weeks, like I said, we've been talking about forgiving ourselves. We forgive everybody else, but we never forgive ourselves. We are so ashamed of things that we've done. We are so ashamed of how long we stayed in things. We are so ashamed of what we allow people to do to us. And so we just, while we forgave them, because we know the Bible says we got to forgive, we never considered the fact that we got to forgive ourselves too. So you giving everybody else freedom and you still bound because you still walking with the shame. So we trying to help you be able to love you. This is called loving the me I see. And so in order for you to love the me that I see, you got to be true to yourself about who you are.
And you got to heal.
Healing is important, but you can't heal if you're going to keep lying about who you are. This thing sucks about me. This thing I don't like. I don't like how whatever it is. I told them one time what the assignment for the week was. Go stand in front of the mirror and introduce yourself to you.
Some of us really don't know who we are.
Introduce yourself. We asked a couple of people, who are you? And they said, well, I'm a mother. And No. I'm not asking you your title. I'm asking you, who are you? Who are you? If I had to take away the fact that you are a mother, if I had to take away the fact that you were a teacher, who are you? Who's that being that God created? Who are you? And you would be surprised at how many people really don't know who they are. The church needs help, guys. Use wisdom with deciding what battles are worth fighting. If the anxiety is triggered by a coworker, the result of a deadline or being overwhelmed, then flush it out with a trusted coworker. Being mindful of the tone, texture, and timing of your words, which is what we said. Learn how to respond and not react. Learn how to respond and not react. Tell Solomon we've been waiting to see him. We have to look. Anxiety is fueled by fear. Fear is the bait that triggers anxiety.
I believe that wholeheartedly because, y'all excuse my son. I believe that wholeheartedly because you can be, I'll give you a perfect example. So for 2 days, we were waiting for some diagnosis to come back. And because of the fear, it triggered off this person's anxiety because they didn't know what the results of the test was going to be, whether they were going to have surgery or whatever the case was. So they was fearful. They were fearful. They didn't sleep. They were afraid, and then they started having anxiety attacks. So that is very 100% accurate. Fear will cause you to have anxiety. The fear of unknown, I would say, will cause you to have anxiety and panic attacks because you're fearing of what's get ready to take place or what's going to happen. So I agree with that.
Mental disorders are not demons. However, demons work in tandems with mental disorders. And again, I would agree, not all they always try to blame a demon.
Take some medication.
Sometime living in your house is the reason why I got a mental issue. That ain't had nothing to do with me having a demon. You might have had one which caused me to be where I am. Different types of abuses have caused people to have mental illness. PTSD is real, guys. You don't have to be in the military to have PTSD. I am an advocate. I am an advocate of getting help that's needed. I'm telling you, going to a therapist was the best thing I could have ever done. Even though sometimes I end up counseling my therapist, and my bestie be sitting on the sidelines laughing because she was like,
annoying.
"Who is the patient? You or him?"
I want to know who is the patient.
Who is the patient? You or
she
him?
Counseling him more than he is her, and I'm like, wait, maybe we need to switch you because I'm confused. And most of the time, it's so much dead space. I'm like, hello, you have somebody on the phone. So if you don't know what to say, maybe you need to go see a counselor.
So I find myself giving him what to do while he's trying. Sometimes I got to tell him, maybe you shouldn't be talking to me today because it sounds like you got issues going on. I'm going to need you to call me on another day. Pastor Anita says, at what point can we get help, have faith, and move forward without holding on? You can get help at any point. It's a matter of you making a conscious decision that you want the help, because that means that you have to be ready to deal with whatever comes out. My first session, I told my bestie, I said, in less than 20 minutes, I was almost through a whole box of tissues because I didn't realize how much I held on to what had been done to me. I didn't realize. I thought I had healed from it. My bestie got the book, Healed Without a Scar. So that was supposed to be me because I didn't have that sting. I could talk to somebody else about what I've gone through without crying. So I knew that there was a healing that took place, but I didn't realize how some of the things I just moved forward, but I never let go. And so that session was a great thing. And so when you want help, which means that you're willing to be truthful about who you are, because not all of our problems stem from other people. Sometimes our problems are because of us, things that we've done or places we went or things that we've said, maybe that we regret and we held on to it because we just didn't know what else to do with it. And so we carried it with us. I tell people all the time, we got these living cemeteries, this stuff that has happened to us in our past. And we got it walking around with us every day. We get up every day and dress it up and just carry it on because we're not getting the true healing from it. So I think that for you to have that question tonight says that it's time for you to say, at what point can we get help? Now, at any time. Though there are people that are around us right now who we are counseling, that we still advocate getting therapy outside of us, outside of the church. Even when you go, they still ask you, what's your spiritual support? Who do you rely on for your spiritual support? You're right in there. And so being able to say, I'm ready to deal with me, because when you're going there, I don't care how long you start telling them this person, they're still going to come back to you. And it forces you to have to deal with you. And so this is a good time. I would seek out, like I said, there are people who we, advise to seek counsel outside of us by way of therapists. And I've even made the phone calls and set up the appointments for them. And they've been like, oh my God, I didn't really think it was going to be like this. I'm telling you, it's been so taboo in the church to go seek help outside of church. And if that's what it's going to take for you to receive your healing, then you need to do that. Not everybody has to do it, but you need to do that. Hey, Henry, I didn't see you on there. So you wanna call and make that appointment, because it's a process. You got to go through intake, and that's where I found myself like boo-hooing for the first 20 minutes is the intake process, because it's that person who talks to you long enough to find out what kind of help you actually need. And they tell you, well, this is this diagnosis and this is that. Well, I bring all my diagnoses back to church because I know that God is going to deal with it. I go to the doctor so they can tell me what they think, so I can come back to church and tell God what he needs to do. And so I advise you, Pastor Anita, look into it. You don't want to have to lose yourself because you can't successfully handle the work atmosphere without anxiety. For me, the part that led me to therapy was when I was working with the children with autism. It wasn't the children that was causing the issue for me. It was the teacher that I was working under who was envious of the relationship that I was establishing with the children, and because they would respond to me better than they were with her. So she made my days miserable. And so it got to the point where I felt like I was about to lose it. So I let the staff know. I went to the principal. I went to my union rep, like I did the necessary things. And then I sought help. And so I would advise that, given what you're saying on here tonight, that you need some more help outside of church. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we've been in church so long and we've been around the same circle for so long that it's hard for you to share what you really need to share because you don't know how they're going to respond. You don't know how people are going to tell. Now everybody going to have 50, things of advice when you ain't have enough discernment to pick me up. So I don't want to hear that right now. So go get help and see for yourself. You be your own judge. I can't speak for those that are in your area, but I've had a very good, wouldn't you say I've come a long way?
Yes.
I've come a long way with just being able to speak to someone. Because like I said, I've been the strength for so many people for so long that it was a question of who can I talk to? Because I provided the strength for most of the people that I would want to talk to. And so being able to have that therapist really worked in my favor. So I would tell you, remove the stigmatism that goes along with that and go get you some help. There's an intake process. They will talk to you. They will ask you some very personal questions and give you the freedom to talk about them. My therapist gave me, my psychiatrist gave me assignments to do for my piece. And so it really works. It really works. It really works. That's all I can say. It really works. Might not work as great for you. Everybody is different. Again, I can't speak for the professionals down on you guys' end, but on my end so far, it has been well. Henry's on it.
All right, son.
Let me see what he's saying. In order for true change to occur, the said individual must first understand they need help. And secondly, they must want help. Yeah. Well, see, I didn't even know that's what you said. And that's just what I just said to Pastor Anita. The fact that you're asking means that you're ready. So go get it. Don't let anybody talk you out of getting it. Whatever's going to bring you your peace of mind. You don't have to go to the grave with these disorders. There are things that can be done and you can be healed. He is a healer. He's a miracle worker as well. And for some, he does it right away. And for others, it is something that we must go through because of what we're getting ready to help others through. So one way or another, just go. Just go. I'm telling you, there's going to be such a freeing. It is reality, daughter. I had to learn there was a big difference between needing help and wanting or recognizing. You know what?
Absolutely.
Hear me out to give you a certificate just for tonight. Just just for tonight, because surely you took us for the money. Oh my God. This is all we were saying to you back then. But I'm glad. It's better late than never. The fact that you are finding it. Would you say? Whatever it took, right? He got it. The issue is not having help. Wait, the issue is not having help. The issue is we don't listen to the instructions. How many times did God send us help and we rejected it? Because it did, Master Prophet, because it didn't look like or sound like something we wanted to hear. Real help offends you to the point to change. I'm telling you the truth. I am telling you, all the way to Florida, send that offering. We say this to,
Sorry, guys, I'm cooking, so I'm up and down.
We say this to people all the time. You can come to us for counseling and we can talk to you and we give you exercises to do and you come back but if you're not going to apply anything that we're telling you, stop wasting our time. Let us know from the door you're not willing to make the necessary application so we can move on to the next, because our time is just as valuable. And what you're doing is taking away from time that somebody else might have needed who wants to really change. So I agree. That's why I said with Pastor Anita asking the question, that means she's ready. So go get your help. Don't let nobody talk you out of it. Don't let nobody make you feel bad about it. Go get it and do what it do. Let it work for you. Let it work for you.
Yeah, it's talking tonight.
The cross and the couch. Oh, wow.
That'll preach.
The cross and the couch. That's nice. Jesus is concerned about our mental health. Psalm 23. He maketh me to lie down. He leads me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He cares about us taking care of our bodies and our soul. When Elijah ran for fear of his life, God sent an angel to ask, "What are you doing here?" and made him eat, drink, and take a nap for 2 whole days. She ain't got whole in here, y'all. I said whole. 2 days. After he was properly nourished and well rested, he was able to hear God speaking in a still small voice. He cares about us being whole. He really does. He really does, woman of God. He truly, truly does. Like I said, I go to the doctor, the physical doctor out here in the secular world, and I find out what they want to say about me. Then I come on back to the hospital that I'm familiar with, and I tell the doctor what is wrong, and he allows healing to take place. He allows strength to take place. There is I'm just a faith person. My mother was that, and she was the greatest example for me. And, people say, oh, it's hard to believe that you have all of these things that you've been saying because you don't look like it. And I'm not going to look like it for as long as God will allow me, because I'm not going to die because of my diagnosis. I choose to live as long as I can. Was I always here? Nope. When I was ready to leave here, I really was. But God saw fit to change that. And so here we are. Here we are. Not all help can come from a bottle of oil. Some need a couch session and somebody who really don't know them to address what needs to be addressed. Yes, you're saying some of the same things that I was saying to Pastor Anita, sitting on that, and it wasn't a couch, it was a chair. He had it, right? You went in there with me one time. It was a chair, and that person just sat. Lighting was right, waterfall in the background, different types of affirmation around on the walls of the room, and just listen and just allow you that moment that moment to just be who you really are. Like this person who used to be. That's what my therapist said. Oh, so this is the person you used to be, because we have the things that some of us have done or said to fit in, knowing that if we had it any other way and we had a choice that would allow us to still be accepted, we wouldn't have done some of the things, or we wouldn't have went to some of the places, or we wouldn't have said some of the things. We were just trying to be a part of what was going on, so we didn't stand out as being a loner, or sometimes they would call you the brown nose, or sometimes they would call you the holy roller, or somebody would say, she just anti. And sometimes you just could be in a room full of people and still feel all alone. It's a real place. It's a real place. Elder Henry says to Master Prophet, now you are talking, Prophet. Been there before and totally understand this. Pastor Anita, it's not the kids, it's the others along with trying to move in another direction. Causes anxiety. No. I wouldn't have said. Like I said, I enjoyed the kids, even in getting frustrated with some of their habits. Some of them kick, some of them throw, some of them run, some of them spit. But they have their own things that they're dealing with. But like I said, it wasn't the children for me. It was the teacher that I was working with that caused the most harm, that started messing with my psyche and then it started messing with my health. And I had to do something quickly because I felt like I was losing myself because I was not able to respond in the manner that I wanted to. But I did respond how God had me to. Sometimes we have to understand it doesn't require us to speak anything. Let our actions speak for us and just take the necessary steps. So, yeah, I agree. Elder says, you guys are blessing me. I love conversation. Also, having leaders who can discern the things of the spirit realm and reality is big. Yet the problem is respect and boundaries. Some cannot respect their leaders because there is a problem. There are boundary problems. And you are right. I learned that, and then I tried to help my bestie understand that, because it's not that you don't love membership or you don't love God's people. It's just that you can only do but so much. Even when we're having family function or we're allowing some of the church individuals to come to our home, I'll stay out for a little while, but for the most part, I remove myself because I never want to risk the chance of disrespect or someone not honoring the boundaries that need to be met at the particular time. Some people can't handle you as being friend and leader. Some people can't handle you as being leader and down to earth. They just, they don't know how to separate the two. They feel like once you have allowed some comedy to take place or some soft time to take place, that's what they can do at all times and not be expected to maintain level of respect. But yeah, that's not me. I don't tolerate that. So that nobody gets that misunderstood, I just limit myself unless it is something I am having for the sake of the ministry, where I want them to have fun and just enjoy themselves. Yes, I know how to get down and dirty and play basketball and flip and all of that other kind of good stuff to let the young people know that, we understand balance and we like fun too. But then when it's time for you to acknowledge who the apostle is, I expect it. And if you don't, I will demand it. So it took me a lot of time to get that kind of courage. And I try now to make sure that is instilled in my bestie as the apostle, because when we're in church, my children don't call me mom, they call me apostle. And that is something that we learned early. My uncle was my pastor, so I had to call him Uncle Bishop. I didn't get to, just call him Uncle Leonard or any, I had to give him what was due him. So yeah, learning boundaries is very important. I had to learn the difference between ministry and personal. Everything is not ministry and everything is not personal. Oh, see, I'm saying stuff and I didn't even know you wrote that. The whole part, Lord, I heard that more than anything. Yeah, it's a real deal. You know, you can't just keep sitting around the house having conversations and coffee with the members and then expecting them to differentiate when it's time. We so quick to give a title, yet the reason so many fall in ministry is undealt with graves. Things that should be buried ain't, and thus too many walking around smelling like the dead places of life with a title. Ooh, that was a hard statement, sir. But I do get what you're saying. And it is. Some of us are, it's not to say, I think the misunderstanding is that when you say no, in the church, people tend to think that you just don't want them to grow, or you just don't want to see them enlarge in the ministry, or you don't want to see them go further. But the fact of the matter is, it's because we want you to go further that we have to, like, no, we can't do that. We messed up already, and we acknowledge that, and we repented to God for that. Both myself and my bestie, for either giving somebody a title too soon, or marrying people when we knew we should wait, you know, at this particular time. I just, you don't want people to die on your watch, and you don't want to see people get hurt because they relied on what you said. They went by what you said, even if they had reservations and didn't tell you. You had no idea, but they were asking you, and they were hoping that you would give them the answer, and so they went on your answer, which went against what they felt, and now things are not working the way that they desired. And so I've repented to God, and I've asked God to help me, because I don't want, even if it means that you're going to go get married by somebody else, okay, see you later, see you when you get back, but I can't do it because I don't agree. And most recently I had that happen, and I had to apologize to God, and I apologized to the person. Like, I know God told me to tell, and I still, because I was the only one and everybody else was saying yes, and I was the only one, I gave in. But sometimes we have to realize that we have to risk hurting those that we love in order to make sure that the truth is told. And God will never find me there again. I promise you that. So we have to get to a place where we are in church, um, and we're sitting in church with all of these mental disorders, and we're ashamed. And it's just, you do more harm denying who you are than you do telling the truth. You really do. You know why? Because there are different things that you do to try to cover up what you don't want people to know, that at the end of the day, that's the reason why they don't like you, because of the cover up. We have to get to a place where this is why this is called loving the me that I see, not the me that you see, loving the me that I see, which means that I have to learn how to love me, flaws and all. Because if I don't learn how to love me, flaws and all, how am I going to expect somebody else to love what I don't know how to love? I can't even tell you how to make me happy, because I haven't figured it out yet, because I haven't taken time to fall in love with myself. If after you fall in love with yourself, you go into the conference room with somebody, or you go into a relationship with somebody, you're well established and well equipped. Why? Because you already know what's expected. You know what you won't tolerate, and you know what you will. But until you know who you really are and come to grips with who that is, you can't successfully have anybody love you like you need to be, because they can't love what they don't know. And if you don't know, how they gonna know? So you're just accepting things, but you're not happy. You're not happy. You're just so glad somebody did something. You're not. I'm grateful for every no, because at the end of the day, those no's help Henry recognize pains and scars he refused to accept. You're still going to be called and anointed, yet if your scars and pain is not dealt with, it either does one or two things: hinder or harm. For real. For real. I'm telling you, I have learned some things in these latter years of my life, and I just wish I could have spoken to my younger self to let her know that she didn't have to put up with all that stuff that she put up with, and she didn't have to be ashamed of the things that had been done to her, and she didn't have to wonder, who, really cared or really loved her or liked her as a person, or for what she was able to do, because she was always letting somebody come and shop in her closet, even if it meant it left her with less than, you know, um, all of the things that we did to try to make people know that we know how to love, and that we just want to love and they deserve to be loved. And yet here I am finding out later on in life that, hey, I was that person and I didn't even realize it, that I needed to be loved in a different way, or that I didn't fully know who I was, because I really did think that I knew myself, but life let me know that I didn't. It let me know that I didn't. I believe that um, if I had learned how to love the me that I saw, if I had really learned who I am, who knows? I could still be married right now. I didn't know what expectations to put on anybody else because I still didn't know who I was. So those unspoken expectations they're a killer. Would you agree?
Yes.
So this mental illness and me, um, I started to do mental illness and the church, but me is the church. I am the church. The church is not the four walls. The church is you. And if you have a mental disorder or a mental illness or mental health issues, don't be ashamed. Do what it takes to heal from that. Do what it takes to be able to embrace yourself. Again, the 7 most common mental disorders, according to the World Health Organization: anxiety, depression, bipolar, psychotic disorders, eating, dementia, autism. Mental disorders as a whole are defined by a wide range of conditions that affect mood, thinking, and behavior. A wide range of conditions that affect mood, thinking, and behavior. Elder Stone, I didn't know how it was going to go. Like I said, when he dropped it on me this morning, I was like, who am I? But, I like to look up stuff that he gives me, and I like to make sense. We like to make sense. And we like to look into what is said. And I'm going to just read you some statistics. It says 1 in every 8 people in the world live with mental disorder. 1 in every 8. Jesus, today. Mental disorders involve significant disturbances in thinking, emotional regulation, or behavior. Most people do not have access to effective care. So a lot of people wouldn't be as disturbed as we see them if they had had the means to get help. Not everybody is where they are because they just didn't go. Some of them just didn't have the means. Either they didn't have the money or they didn't have the insurance that would allow them. And then some that had the insurance had limited visitations. And so they could have got stopped right at the time of their break, and it just sent them backwards. Um, A mental disorder is characterized by a clinically significant disturbance in an individual's cognition, which is your thinking, emotional regulation, or behavior. A broader term covering mental disorders, psychosocial disabilities, and other mental states associated with the significant distress, impairment in functioning, or risk of self-harm. Psychosocial disabilities, or either mental states. Anxiety disorders are characterized by excessive fear and worry related to behavioral disturbances. Depression is different from your usual mood fluctuations and short-lived emotional responses to challenges in every life. During a depressive episode, the person experienced feeling sad, irritable, empty, or a loss of pleasure, or interest in activities for the most of the day, nearly every day, for at least 2 weeks. Bipolar disorder, people living with bipolar disorder experience alternating depressive episodes with periods of manic symptoms. Mania. PTSD, exposure to extremely threatening or horrific events or series of events, re-experiencing the traumatic events in the present, intrusive memories, flashbacks, or nightmares. I'm telling you, this thing, I was, whew, just to say, I do get help, but this feeling or situation that causes anxiety is new. So I wanted to hear from the apostle concerning this. Thank you. I believe, Pastor Nita, I hope that something we said tonight was on point for you. I'm telling you, seeking help was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was the best thing. For so many years in my life, the church made it seem like taboo because I was seeking help, because I wanted to have a better way of dealing with things and getting through things. And I promise you, getting help was the best thing that I could have done. So I pray that something that we've said here tonight, something that you've read here tonight by the others, has helped you. I say keep on doing what you're doing to get the help that you need, because nobody is living in your shoes but you. And nobody knows what you have to go through on a daily basis but you. Nobody knows the true circumstances that you put up with every day but you. And so therefore, unless they are fully walking in your shoes, which means they are who you are and they're working in your life every day, they cannot tell you, child, it don't even take all that, or child, don't let nobody talk. Continue to get the help that you need. Continue to be free, Pastor, so that you be able to help those that are being sent in your direction. Everything that we deal with is attached to what's coming to us or what already is concerning ministry. And so I want you to keep that in mind and do everything you can and everything that you can tolerate to get what you need, so that you can just understand how wonderful you are and how great a person you are and how a loving woman that you are. Misunderstood a lot by many, but you are a loving person and you deserve happiness and you deserve peace of mind. And so do whatever you feel is going to take to make that happen. So we're going to end tonight on that note, and we'll pick this back up. I'm not sure whether it be next week or the week after, but we'll pick this back up. I'm trying to decide whether we're going to continue with every week or listen to my bestie and do every other week. I don't know. Sometimes when thoughts come to mind, you be like, ooh, but we should just talk about it. But again, right now we're talking about mental illness and me, which means me and the church, because I am the church. I'm saved. I'm sanctified. I'm Holy Ghost filled. The fire baptized. All of those things you hear us singing and talking about and testifying about. Been down in the water. I love Jesus and he loves me. I want you to know that with all of that, I still went and sought help. And it worked for me. And I'm telling you, if you give in to the process, it can work for you. There are many who are already getting help but are ashamed to say that that's what's going on. They just want you to believe that they're being healed. And I just believe that they need to be truthful. Yes, God is a healer. He's a miracle worker. But let's tell the truth. Some of us are where we are now because we finally got up enough nerve to go get help. Now we just need to get up enough nerve to let somebody know we're going to get help. And so, again, we pray that tonight has blessed you. We are so ever grateful for any time a leader comes on. It was so good for Master Prophet to be with us on tonight. Thank you, Pastor Anita. Thank you, Elder Stone. Thank you, Pastor Jessica. Thank you to Dom and Nini. Thank you to Pastor Shanae. What is her title? I'm going to say Minister Marianne because I don't know your proper title, but I didn't want to call you wrong. Thank you for Lady Minister T. I love you guys. Thank you for coming on and letting us know that we are doing something good because you stayed on, you chatted with us over here. To Miss Nat for coming on and being vulnerable with us. We thank you. I always like to go back and make sure I don't miss anybody because everybody's important to us. And we do appreciate the fact that you are communicating with us. So far I've named everybody that. Terrell. I said Pastor Shanae.
Mhm.
Prophetess Shauna, to Brother Jihad. I said Diamond, Nene. Who was over here? Calvin Scott,
That's it, Keith.
LaShawn Robinson, Modesty McAlpine, Keith Johnson, to Brother Justin, Sister Jennings, Daniela, to my daughter Armasia. That's it. To Brother Gregory Self. That's it. That's it. That. To Sister Jocelyn Jenkins, to Stephanie McInnes. Wow. To Ashley, to my daughter Crystal, missionary Shanae. Thank all of you who came on tonight. We truly do love you guys and appreciate the fact that you are here not letting us talk to ourselves. So until the next time, my bestie will have the last sayings as we do each week, and she will pray us out.
I want you guys to be encouraged. I pray that something that was said tonight will help you. I want you to hold on and know that just because you have a mental illness, it is not the end of the world. Just because you suffer with different things in your life is not the end. I have people around me every day that live like this on a daily basis, and some people are on medication for it. So it is absolutely nothing to be sad about. But the thing I like about it is God has graced us with the ability to help people heal. He has graced us with it. We had to go through it, all of us. I used to suffer from anxiety so bad. Like I used to be afraid to sleep in the dark. That's how bad my anxiety was because it felt like I could not breathe, like I was being suffocated. I was panicking. And so that's how bad things were for me. But through time, God has brought us through. So be encouraged. Be encouraged tonight. We're not talking from a place where we have not been. We're not just up here talking on a topic because it sounds good. We are truly either in it or going through it with somebody in our circle. So I encourage you tonight to be encouraged. Pastor Nita, you got this. Be encouraged. You are stronger than you think you are, and you are built to survive. We love you all. I'm going to pray in Jesus' name. Father, we thank you. Most kind God, we give you glory on tonight. We thank you for each and every one that has logged on, those that require special request, special prayer. Our sister Natalie, our pastor Anita Sobers, and those that didn't even say pray for me, our brother Jihad, all of those that was on this live tonight that are suffering from a mental illness, a disorder. Father, we pray tonight in Jesus' name, God, that you would touch each and every one of them. We pray, God, that loving the me I see, God, will go far, God, that it will go across the nations, that someone may hear about something that we're doing or that we're saying, God, that you would bless us even on a better scale. God, we love you tonight. We give you glory for everyone that has logged on. Continue to lead Apostle Armor. Continue to direct her as she continue to go live. Give her what to say. Give her the know-how. Give her the wisdom and the knowledge on how to answer and how to respond to your people. God, we thank you and we bless you because you do all things well. In Jesus' name, amen. Have a good night, all. Until we meet again, be blessed and may favor follow you for the rest of this week.